Good morning.
Yeah, morning, darling. You okay?
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Well, as good as you can be, in this
Yeah,
situation. Yeah,
it's nice to meet you at last.
yeah, and you. Yeah, I watch you online, etc., and follow you on LinkedIn and all that. So yeah, most definitely nice to chat to you.
Yeah, really nice to chat because I popped to one of your shops in Canterbury a few weeks ago.
Oh, did you? Yeah, well,
Yeah, for one of
on
your
the right one,
network,
yeah.
for one of your networking dues.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. They work really well for us, So, I mean, it was Canterbury who actually sort of spearheaded it. Canterbury and Glasgow, they were two quite difficult locations. And so we decided to try and engage the local business community, and they worked really well. It was in Canterbury, had about 40 people there, I think.
Yeah, it was good. Is it Mark? Is it Mark?
Mark Pegg, yeah, he's got
Mark,
great.
that's it. Yeah, and it was literally, I think, the Friday before everything happened, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
It was Thursday, actually, Thursday the 13th.
Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd actually had an operation. Are we started now, or am I
No,
just...
no, carry on, carry on.
Yeah, no, I'd had an operation on March the 3rd, and I couldn't drive for 2 weeks. That was the first time I'd been out of the house for a fortnight. And I'd a couple of days in hospital, then I had to sort of, not move around much, etc. Nothing serious, but I started seeing removed off my chest. And so I'd had weeks of watching the news, and I've got friends in Italy, family in Spain, and some family in France. I'm on the phone to these people saying, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Is it really as bad as because it was all over? And on the night before, on Wednesday the 11th, President Trump stopped travel. And on that Thursday, the 13th, I had 240 people across my stores from 8 a.m. in the morning till 10 a.m. So which would normally generate a couple of sales. It isn't about selling, but just the fact there's 240 odd people there, you'd expect to sell a dozen pairs of shoes, a couple of each shop. And that day, when he announced stop travel, we sold £800 of the shoes across 10 locations. And that is, on average, we do between 12 and 20 grand a day, Monday to Friday.
Oh my goodness.
It was horrific. It was horrific, honestly. And of course, before Trump even did the lockdown, formally closed the shops, formally did the furlough, I'd already put actions in place because we were hemorrhaging money. Really, really, really difficult. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute.
That's so tough. Well, first of all, welcome. And we've never met in person before, but I've been, following your brand for quite a long time now, and seeing all the family involved in it, and it's really, really wonderful. Obviously, you have retail stores, you have bricks and mortar, so this has hit you terribly, terribly hard. So, can you just tell us a little bit about the Brogue Trader pre-coronavirus and what the family business looked like?
Okay. So, Macnamara, managing director, founder of the Brogue Trader. 48 years old, based in Cardiff. What's the Brogue Trader? We're a retailer of fine footwear. So I opened the business in November 2013. I've been in the corporate world for 20 years, quite successfully, been a managing director of a big business, etc. It's an £150 million business. But I didn't own it. I desperately wanted to work for myself, desperately wanted my own company and be absolutely in charge of my own destiny. And I've got a little line, dictate the policy instead of being a victim of it. So I sold my house, scooped all the capital out I could, moved into rented property, moved out to Cardiff, the Marsh Valleys, much to the, obviously, disagreement of my family, but definitely my two elder boys, teenagers, taken away from their friends. But I just wanted to do it. Initially, it wasn't a money thing. I just wanted to get my sanity back. I was fed up of being stuck in an office, looking at, P&L sheets, etc., and having meetings, trying to take a meeting. What happens in the corporate world, isn't it? So I opened a little shoe shop. The shoe shop obviously is wall-to-wall mahogany, accents to carpet, paper wallpaper, Chesterfield furniture. We do English brands, 8 brands, 5 of the Royal Warrant, all about refinement, luxury for gentlemen's footwear. We specialise in English-made shoes. We opened the first store on my own, I'd gone from being in an office to being a middle-aged shop assistant, which was quite interesting. It was actually towards you. But I still enjoyed it. I had to remember sort of the selling skills while I was a young man. Anyway, within 3 months, my eldest son joined me. He was disillusioned at university. I'm not an academic, and he obviously realised he wasn't. So he joined the business full-time in January. And by the June, we realised we were really onto something. We were getting some real momentum. We were getting a lot of attention from the media, from other shoe brands, from other, as in brand manufacturers. We were getting attention off other retailers. It was really interesting, actually. I was really enjoying it. And so I decided then, let's open the store. So we did okay. You know, we opened the first store. I put every penny I had into it. And I'm a kid from a council, actually. I'm a normal working class kid. Started watching cars at 14, left school, etc. No exams. You know, and then became a car salesman, mechanic and car salesman, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And ended up into a good position in the motor trade. So we sold our house. I put £106,000 into the business, which was every penny. And we had less than £1,000 a day we opened the shop. I don't know, which is crazy, but I went over budget and everything. Got really excited. I forgot I was spending my own money for a change. I obviously thought it was someone else's. We opened the first store. 6 months later, I signed for store number 2, which was in Chester. 6 months after that, we signed for store number 3, which is in Bath. And to cut a long story very short, we now have 10. It took me 4.5 years to get the 10 stores. They go from Edinburgh to Exeter, Cardiff to Canterbury, Manchester, Chester, Leeds, Oxford, Bath, to lovely, lovely towns, all good communities. And they're all towns that needed a really nice gentleman shoe shop, you know, and they're lovely shops that are heavily invested in the look and the feel. So, you know, over £1 million of investment just in, you know, lovely, we employ lovely people, you know, guys wear dicky bows and waistcoats and this sort of a lovely branded uniform. So it's been a lovely business. And to be honest, from day one, we've just literally had growth. I've had some health issues. I had a heart attack. So I had to take a few months off. I also had a really bad car crash. 2015. I was in hospital for 2 months, fractures. So I took a few months off. And then having this family business that I'd never had before was wonderful because I had my wife involved, my 3 children, my daughter's 28. She joined us then about a year or so in. Both my sons now, so my daughter's 28, my son's 25, and my youngest is 22. And obviously all the different things in the business, very operational. My daughter does sales ledger, and she's got works with her. And but when I had those moments of illness, I was actually quite relaxed because I knew that my family had my back. You know, they're all invested. They've all been, you know, gifted shares now. So it's our entire family life, to be frank. You know, my wife's now left her full-time job. She's also involved in it. So we've had 6 years of growth. It's been brilliant. We employed 51 people. We have no problem with staff attrition. You know, I've only lost 12 people in 7 years. Of that, 6 of them were Saturday boys, weekend lads, either finishing university or going to university, but in effect leaving the town. We've had a couple of people who had a fire, only 2, and the rest have left for natural. One lady was, still pregnant and wanted to become a mum. Someone else got a bigger role in a bigger business, and we wished him well. But really, fantastic. And in retail, it's quite unusual because, most people who work in shops, it's just a job until they get the real job, but not in my business. Because if you visit my business, we take absolute huge pride in the level of service we give people from the moment they walk in the door to the moment they walk out the door. We have a solid sales process. My background's motor trade, so it's all about the meet and greet and the qualification and the test drive. Or would have been the car and I'm spare shoes, and then the upsell, and then obviously the aftercare. And little and often invite them back in the store all the time for free shoe polishing and various entertainment nights. We have rugby players and celebrities doing Q&As. We get close to people like Warren Battens and various other stars all over the country. We do things in all our stores. We really try and engage the community and raise a lot of money for charity. Raised about 300,000 in the last sort of 3 years. So really, really embed ourselves in the community, and it's worked because it's old-fashioned retailing. People go into the store because we create a community of people, and it's been fantastic. So the story before COVID, it's been brilliant, really brilliant, and that's all I can really say about that. So we've had just constant highs, growth every year in a depressing market, in a depressing high street environment. Yeah. I've got my own opinions on that, but it is opposite to what I do, because we're bucking the trend. In a shrinking market, good, well-to English-made, expensive footwear, shrinking market, but I've just had growth, and we retain our customers and we retain our team members. So to answer your question, before COVID, it was.
Well, congratulations, because that sounds incredible. What a wonderful, few years of growth you've had. And I've been to one of your stores in Canterbury, and I've met your manager there, and you're right, they're like disciples.
Yeah.
It's like walking into the Macnamara family home.
It's meant to be like that. The way the stores are done with all the photographs on the walls and like an old grandfather's study. And we just really desperately try to create a community. And I know people say that, but they don't really mean it, but I mean it. So if every social media post is posted on myself or my son, or Mark actually from Canterbury, because he's heavily involved with that. I posted, he just creates some of the content. but every comment replied to is us. We reply to it. There's not an outside agency. So it's authentic and people like it. And people who followed our journey from the start, because we're a new business, we're only 7 years old this year. People have loved watching us grow, and the adoration of other people has been wonderful. It really has. It's been really overwhelming, actually.
Incredible.
And also from a personal perspective, to see my own children develop from Anne was 15 years old when we started working Saturdays. Kieran was 18. My daughter was young. Julie, a car salesperson. I put obviously the most important after me, I suppose. Watch them develop themselves has been wonderful, and then to see people we've employed develop. I've taken 16 to 17-year-old boys, and when we take young people on, we generally have a conversation with their parents as well to get them to buy into what we're trying to achieve, and to watch them change and develop as young people. It's wonderful. Really is incredibly it's a good feeling.
Extraordinary. Well, firstly, congratulations. I mean, what a wonderful story and an amazing brand as well, and such a following you've got. So talk to me about what happened in March.
So I actually had an operation March the 3rd. So I was in hospital for a couple of days. Nothing serious, but I had a couple of days in hospital, and then I couldn't drive for 2 weeks. So I was sort of housebound. And I do obviously a little bit of emails, etc. But generally, my job is operational, getting to the car, going to the store, meeting people, going to the factories. So because I couldn't drive, within an hour, my daily tasks were done. So I spent a few weeks watching the news and seeing it unfold in Italy, Spain, etc., and France. And I've got friends in all those. Three countries. I was on the phone with my friends in South France and friends in Alicante and Rimini in Italy, saying, "Is it really as bad as it's on the news?" And obviously they said, "Oh yeah, we're locked down. I haven't been out the house for a week, and I have to take a bit of paper when I leave the house, and I have to print off the route and." And my some utility bill. This is my uncle who lives down in Pines. So really, I was thinking about this. I started to prepare. Actually, I wrote a lovely letter to all my landlords. Some of them are big, some of them are huge multiples. Like Land Securities and Hampson. These are really, really big players. And then others are independents who may have 5 or 6, 5 or 6 or a dozen. Maybe resale units, and others are just one unit. So I wrote a personal letter to all of them. That's the one thing we do. We try and make everything personal. We sort of reached out to them in readiness, explaining I'm a bit concerned about this. We're going to try and trade through it, but please don't be surprised if you have another communication office next week. We obviously got to March the 13th, and I did a networking day in all my stores. And we had, we do a free networking day. Just come along, just nothing more to engage with our existing customers and obviously our local business community. So, we have a database in our shop. We have a normal database for normal people who buy shoes. Then we'll have a database for local, people that live through business owners. We'll keep business cards. And so if we do a networking event, we invite those people. We target them. And they're normally well attended. So we had about 240, 250 people across the 10 locations. I think you went to Canterbury that day, and there was 40 odd people there. And so, you would expect, to have 240 people in those retail locations, admittedly spread across all 10 sites, but you'd expect some shoe sales. Well, the budget was the day before, on the 12th. President Trump had stopped travel, including England and Ireland, on the 12th. On that morning networking event, there was a lot of business. And we were obviously, trying to promote what we do. We were also trying to, make local connections. But the main topic was the budget the day before, and was President Trump stopping travel. Well, I normally take between sort of 12 and 20,000 on a weekday, so Sunday through to Thursday. It goes up on a Friday, peaks up on a Saturday. But it's normally between 12 and 12 grand. 12 grand is sort of a poor midweek day. 20 grand we've had a stormer. And that day, across 10 locations, we took £800. Somebody turned the tap off. 6 locations didn't sell it. We had a couple of pairs of socks with some repairs. I think 2 pairs of shoes were sold in total. And that was on that Thursday. The Friday wasn't much better. And nor was it's a bit better, but it was about 5 grand. And we normally do 40 on Saturday. It was like, I should have been it was like somebody literally turned the tap off. So to keep the stores open and to keep them obviously operational, we blow 50 grand a week. Easy, just blow 50. If I'm taking 10 or 12 grand a week, then that's what we'd be taking on the basis of that performance. With my overhead costs, etc., we blow 50 grand a week, which is hemorrhage money. And it's a small startup business. We haven't really started to collect any real wealth yet. We've just been investing it, and we're still paying loans off at shop, etc. which, we're okay. We're a good little business, but we're like every business. We've just had an element of growth. So I made the decision to initially try and trade through it. I had made this plan of laying off 18 people and then only having 2 guys in the store. It's sort of the head of business. That's my name for manager, and the assistant manager, just the head of business and the assistant manager. And that was sort of on the Friday, Saturday afternoon. I made that list, started writing letters to deliver the new during the week. And then by the Monday, obviously, they did the lockdown, talking about, pubs and restaurants, etc., etc. And so we obviously had to close all the stores, and I made the decision to obviously put everyone on unpaid leave, which was awful because, I had 51 people, these guys rely on me to pay their wages, etc. They, pay their mortgages and their own sort of commitments. And I remember I wrote all the letters. I did a Zoom meeting actually with my team, or the management team, on the Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. I had all the guys, and we'd never done that before, but we did it, and they were very supportive. They were all there, understood it. They could see what's going on. They knew it was the right thing to do. It was still distressing. There's a few tears in the room from myself. I've never had to do that before. To close all the units, even in my commercial life. I've made people redundant and laid people off, but I've never closed sites completely. I had some phone calls of wives the following morning and this, that, and the other. So fast forward to Friday night, all the guys had received their letters, the managers had received their envelope of letters, and they were all going to tell their teams on Saturday morning and close the stores. I'd obviously get a script how to communicate that to the team members, Q&A afterwards. We had it all planned, and then on obviously 5 o'clock on the Friday evening, the 20th, obviously, Boris announced the furlough agreement. I, immediately, what's furlough? We've never heard of it before. It's an American term. Took some advice on that and changed all the letters overnight, emailed them to all the managers. And a slightly different conversation on the Saturday, slightly more positive, but still closed the stores. But in a far more positive way, had a huge relief that we could pay the guys.
Yeah.
At which point I'd also communicated with the landlords, and obviously my preempted letter did a long way, I think. And immediately we started, getting some good, all different levels of term, from rent deferment to rent-free to half rent, but all different. But obviously then with the 0 rates, then the rate for grants. There was a huge amount of support really, and a bit of a relief short term. So we got I did a video online about this on LinkedIn, I think, last week. And I sort of got my overhead down from £70,000 down to just over 7. The bank had been great, capital holidays on the bank loans, etc. I've got a business, I've got an office in the centre of Cardiff, separate from the shop, the mortgage on that, so I didn't put a holiday on that. You've got to grow this loan straight away, and again, the bank were fantastic. I read some things about our banks haven't been good. Well, I banked with NatWest, and they were absolutely wonderful. Literally, I just put a signature on the bottom of an application, and it was literally quick. It was as easy as that. They wanted hardly any information from me personal, no PDs, none of that, and we've got a very, very sizable loan. And I've never had an overdraft before. They gave me a 60 grand overdraft, so I can't. We've got a good business. We communicate with everybody. All our creditors have been great. We just froze all the accounts. Everybody was wonderful. But we wrote to them and picked the phone to them, and we did it. We did it properly. And everything's been great. So for the foreseeable future, we're just hibernating. We're cuddling the capital. I haven't been out the house for 5 weeks. I'm sitting there cuddling, my bank accounts and trying not to spend any money and anything. Keeping in contact with all the guys. They're keeping in contact with their teams. So we're just trying to stay as perky as we can with the WhatsApp group, etc. And we're doing our own Zoom meetings, trying to pick classes and all that stuff and stuff, trying to have a bit of fun with the individuals. I'm not going to lie, I'm really concerned about what happens when we reopen. It's going to have a massive effect on resale. Obviously, while we've been closed, we upped our online presence. I'm not really an online retailer. I never wanted to be. I'm a bricks and mortar, but really good. I can't measure your feet and give you a gin and tonic online. People online buy online, they buy because they always want to buy best price. They disengage from the business they're dealing with. So we've had a sort of, but we've always been online. It's not been my focus at all. We've invested, in the last 12 months, we invested about £50 in our website, and we've completely changed our online presence. And luckily we have done. We've had our best month ever in April. April's the best month ever in 7 years online. We're hitting the database hard, twice a week, sending various offers out. But again, we know the reason people buy online, we have to incentivize them. And that's what we're doing. The factories we're dealing with are all shut, apart from Brogue, they've been very supportive to us. But Crockett Jones, Cheney, Tricker, they're all closed, so there's no stock coming through and there's no dispatch. Look, have been great. They've really been helpful with us, and they're a great partner of ours. They've been fantastic, helping us, doing various things. So online's been great. But mainly at database, bit of social media marketing, Facebook and LinkedIn, etc. I find LinkedIn very successful for me. When I do a post on a pair of shoes, and we always sell a pair, just one pair, which is pretty good. Which I really like that. So the future when we open, I think it's going to be concerning for everybody. I've got my own opinions on that, but I think it's going to be really difficult. I mean, if I can just touch on something, I've got some friends in the wedding business, and they've had all their weddings cancelled. So let's just imagine we reopen in June with all the weddings cancelled because they're worried about travelling and honeymoons, etc. Well, all of a sudden, if you haven't got a honeymoon, if you haven't got a wedding to go to, you don't need to buy a nice outfit. You don't need the nice shoes to go with the outfit. No. That's a problem. Sports been cancelled. So, I'm heavily involved in sports, sponsor Welsh Rugby, football, Bath Rugby, and a few other smaller sides all over the country. All the sport cancelled. All the hospitality events are cancelled. But, the speakers before the game, speakers the day of the match, because they can't get tickets. People wear their nice tweed jackets and their smart jeans, or brogues, nice shoes and loafers to go with that. Well, of course, if they ever got those events to go to, they don't need to buy those luxury footwear. So I know we're going to have a big downturn in sales. Obviously, people finding they're working from home more, they're going into the office. I think that will continue with the social distancing. So all of a sudden, people will need less work shoes, which is the other end of the scale for me. I mean, my shoes they're not cheap shoes because they're English made. The average person spends £50 on a pair of shoes. Well, my cheapest shoes are £130, and they go up to £700. And my average transaction is £240, and it's just luxury market. And with people staying at home, etc., they won't need the workwear. They won't need the weddings being cancelled. They won't need the luxury due to the wedding. With sporting events and the hospitality events around that, don't underestimate. That's a big part.
Oh, Chris, we've lost you. Chris, you're frozen. Come in, Chris. Chris, I can't hear you, my dear. You're frozen. Your connection's gone a bit skewy.
My back.
Hello, there you are.
Sorry, you can be able to cut that in. You have to cut that in.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Okay, so I was saying that the hospitality, the corporate hospitality world is a big part of my business.
Yeah.
The average man spends £50 on a pair of shoes, and my cheapest shoes are £130, and they go up to £700.
Oh, you're gone again. You're gone again. Come back, come back. Chris, I've lost you.
Without those events and those people.
Oh, hello.
Guys, can you stop the internet a minute? Stop down as well.
Someone's pinching your internet.
I think so, yeah. I live in the countryside, and so we live up in the countryside. I can only assume it's that. I can't think of anything else.
Don't worry,
So obviously, I was saying the corporate world's a big deal for me. Without those events, it's going to have a big impact on my business and just retail generally. The average man spends £50 on a pair of shoes, and our average transaction is sort of £280. So without those nice events like weddings and corporate events, etc., they won't be spending, and they're not just in my shop, but they won't be spending in jewellery shops and watch shops and buying outfits, etc. So I think it's going to be a big problem when we reopen. I'll have to reevaluate my overhead. We need to get. Let's be honest. I've done a deal for 3 months till the end of June, but landlords won't. They need cash. Some of them are obviously rent deferment. So what I'm looking at, we're going to reopen our stores let's just say we reopened the stores in July. I've now got 3 months, in effect, 3 months rent I've got to pay over the next 12 months. So I'm expecting to have lower sales and a higher overhead. So it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be difficult. And for all retailers, you're going to see, like Arcadia Group in administration, Devon's administration, and there's lots of others. I feel hairdressers, hair salons, nail salons, spa places, small boutique hotels. It's really, really, really bad. I mean, I appreciate this is a big health. Tens of thousands of people have lost their lives, but maybe hundreds and hundreds of thousands of business owners fighting for their community lives, and there's no doubt about that. It's interesting you speak to some employed people. They really haven't got any idea. They're on holiday at the moment. Oh, they're not. Oh, my mortgage is frozen. My car payments are frozen. I'm doing loads of DIY. It's great. I go back to work. It'll be normal. No, people will they'll go back to work. And the day they go back to work, they'll be made redundant. They can be put on unpaid leave. That's what's going to happen. In fact, and I think if anyone doesn't think that, they're really naive to the situation we're in. 23 million people are employed in small independent businesses in this country. And they're the ones that haven't got oodles of cash. No. So they're going to have to make some difficult decisions.
And especially in a family business. I mean, you, like you say, your wife and your children on the payroll. I mean, it's your entire livelihoods as a family. It's not like your wife is out somewhere getting furloughed from some rich corporate.
Absolutely. It's massive. It's and when I think about it, let's be honest, it can be a little bit distressing. So I'm smashing the gym and going for a good walk every day and trying not to think about it really, because right now I can't do anything. We're creating a bit of we're being my son has been very creative with online, and obviously doing marketing things each week, twice a week to our database, which is working. Send a database email out, and we're immediately getting sales. So if there's anyone watching this who doesn't do that, well, we didn't do it, because it makes a difference. Pull on the people who like you. So I would definitely suggest that. But it is going to be stressing when we open, definitely, for all sectors. And Boris spoke before, didn't he? And at the moment, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. So be interested to see what happens there.
How are you financially planning your way through this?
Let's be honest. We've got cash. We've got an increased overdraft. We already had a little bit of cash. We weren't potless or anything. We had a little bit of cash. So, but if we carried on paying everybody with zero income, we wouldn't have any cash. If you've got an overhead of 50 grand a week, we haven't got millions in the bank or anything. So it doesn't take a brain surgeon to work out that it wouldn't last long when the business is only been trading sort of in 7 years. So we've got a little bit of cash. We then increase that with an overdraft and a loan. Obviously, the loan is interest-free and payment-free for a year. So if we don't use it, fantastic, give it back. If I have to use it, we use it. And we're going to have to look at reducing the overhead. If I'll probably make a decision very, very quickly if when we reopen, or if not before we reopen, if people are going to be laid off or not. Hopefully that won't be the case. I don't really want to say that online, but I think it's the reality of it. If we're doing less sales, but I'm currently geared for full capacity, we've got to try and save some money somehow. There's that. That's the only way I can really prepare for it. We're going to continue actively marketing our database, etc. And the people who like us and who are very supportive of us. I do a 6 pair, like buy 6 pairs of shoes, 7 pairs. That gets away from discounting and gets people that buy into us and the brand, and that's working really well. So we'll pull on those types of people to generate activity in the store. Again, without knowing about social distancing, can you do activities in the store? 1 in and 1 out of my shop doesn't work. They're small facilities. They're 600 to 800 square feet. The Canterbury store you went to is one of my biggest, and that's like 1,300 square feet. And then you've got to you reduce it for the retail part, and that's still I think it's like 800 square feet. That's one of my biggest stores. These are small little boutique stores. So 1 in and 1 out it won't work at all. It'll just putting your foot on my throat and I can't breathe. So I'm worried about that. And it's interesting listening to other people in bigger businesses how they can adapt. But when you are a high street retailer and there are certain shoe brands out there and retail brands, they work with things like +10. Well, I'm not going to name any names, but there are high street brands out there selling shoes for 120 quid a pair. And you think, I spent 120 pounds a pair of shoes, that's a lot of money. Well, no, actually take the VAT off, 100 quid there. Buy that by 10 times, shoe owes them like £8. They are shit. There's no other way of saying it. And then you put a pair of my shoes next to it, and not that obviously I don't make the shoes personally, but the brands you represent, like makers, for example, and they'd be take £240. But you can see they're beautiful, crafted footwear.
Yeah.
Different dramatic, but obviously you haven't got the margin in them. They're made in England, they're made in the UK. You're paying for proper skilled labour. You're paying for different facilities. It's completely different. And so that's where we can't heavily discount and heavily, 50% sales, more into the 50%. I got the money in the shoes, nothing. I'm losing money if I take 50% of an item. So it's really difficult. We need, I personally, and my sector, I think the premium resale sector, so what is, bespoke shirts, clothing, etc. Those are they need the world to act normal as quickly as possible. At the moment, I'm covering the capital. But what will happen in 6 weeks' time, at the end of June, might be less. I might be less calmer than I am right now.
Okay, all right. So, talk to me about mental strength. So, as a business leader is one thing. As a family business leader is something altogether, because you've got your family looking at you, the rest of your team. That first week it happened in March, and it must have taken the wind out of your sails. How have you come on mentally since then?
Yeah, I think if I'm honest, I was actually quite prepared for it. I had that period where I was at home. People who weren't prepared for it were my 3 children. My 28-year-old daughter, my 20-year-old actually, his birthday, so he was 25 in birthday. And my 22-year-old was just busy working. Daniel was in a plane, I'd been on a plane to Glasgow that week. He'd spent 4 weeks in Glasgow, trained over to Edinburgh for a couple of days. I mean, it would be normal for Dan to work 7 or 8 days without a day off. He's covering manager's holiday. So he's just active, isn't he? Kieran the same. My daughter Stacey, we do sort of between, and then all the accessories. We do 70,000 transactions, usually all the purchase and sales ledger. They were all busy. It wasn't until, then they finished work, young people, they finished work straight in the and it wasn't until I said, I need a family meeting with you. Can we all come to the house Saturday morning? And what was that for, Dad? And I said, that was Saturday the 21st. And then Saturday the 15th, sorry. And I said to them, and they were really shocked. My daughters, their eyes filled up and they didn't realise the serious. But that was when we were looking at close the shop, lay everybody off. Yeah. As the week went on, then they became more informed. They became far better, and we were in control. We were doing the letters, and then obviously the furlough came out. Yeah. They're all still, they haven't been furloughed. My daughter's still busy doing purchase ledger because we're selling online products. Kieran's still marketing, and Dan's doing checking the shops, etc. We've got the running water and the smart top stuff. So we're all sort of trying to be busy. But they all look to me, don't they? Not just as their father, not just as the boss, as the father. And I'm quite a strong character, to be honest. I suppose I'm a working class man. If I went back in the depressed state with my dad, he'd whack me around the back of the head and say, "Have a couple of man up, you son. What's wrong with you?" And that's I come from that sort of alpha male environment, and I said, "You are." I said, "When you are, I'll be made that way." So I'd be fine. If anything, I've just been bored. After 5 weeks now in the house, I'm a big metalhead. I like motorbikes and cars and scooters because I'm an old 80s head covered in tattoos and all that, And I'm writing scooter rally season now, so we could have been a Whitby a couple of weeks ago in Kelso in Scotland, and I've got all the summer planned out, a trip every 3 weeks, and of course it's all cancelled. Yeah. So business is one thing. I'm just, and then from an emotional side of thing, 5 months of rain, and I just want to ride my bike, and it's like being tortured.
Because that's the thing, when you run a business, it's because you're that sort of, your mind works like that, and you're thinking about a million different things at once. So actually it's quite hard to be stuck in one place, in isolation.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I mean, I've got a pen and a bit of paper on the side of the bed, and I wake up at night and I write things down because I remember them, and I wake up and I write stuff down all the time, and then I'm always shooting off somewhere. I'm literally never at home. We're always going somewhere. I mean, we went away. I think we had weekends away, like 20 weekends away last year. So, to do with work. So I would very often go to my shops and go off my bike. I'm always active. So to be stuck in one place for 5 weeks is really, for me, it's really hard. I'm not a DIYer, that's not my thing. I've done a little bit of it, but it's not my thing. I've just done, I've got a home gym, just a gym in the house, punch bags and stuff. And we've spent a lot of time in there. We've walked to the beach for 2 miles from the beach. We've walked to the beach. we're quite lucky compared to some other people, but I'm absolutely bored out my brain. So we have up days and down days. I'm not going to lie and say every day's fantastic, because it isn't. You know, there's some days I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm killing myself with Netflix, you know, I'm sat in front of my computer, please send me an email, somebody, you know, let me get involved in something. But it is difficult. I agree with you. But I've had 1 or 2 days probably been a bit anxious about things, you know, and I've paced around a bit, but overall I've been okay.
And have you learned anything about your business or about yourself in this time that you've had to sort of reflect on what the business world looks like?
I have actually, yeah, that's a good question. I'll tell you one thing I've reflected on, because I'm a kid from a council house, and this will, some people won't align themselves to this. But I mean, I moved into me and Joanne been together since we were 15, you know, 30 years. And we moved in together at 19 years old, into a council house, with the contents of my single bedroom. So my single bed, Joanne slept on the mattress, I had the divan base, black and white portable TV. There was one plug socket in the whole of the house. It's true stories, right? We were absolutely poverless. I've become quite materialistic over the years because I had nothing and I want everything. So I can have one, I could have 2, 3, 4. You know, I can have one, I can have 5 cars. I want a bigger house. I want a house at Brogue. I've become incredibly, they're like badges of honour, aren't they? And that isn't right for everybody, but for me, and over the last 5 weeks, I've realised that actually it's not that important, you know, because it's not. I mean, it would all be insignificant if one of my children were on a ventilator in a hospital. I thought about that, you know. We've had a bottle of wine in the garden that we've, you know, watched the sun go down, and I've thought about that a lot. On not on one occasion, on several occasions. So I thought I've had to reflect on, well, if the business needs more cash, and we haven't got any personal cash because it's already in the business, let's sell this, and could I raise 200 grand? Well, we probably could sell a bit of pieces, you know, watches and motorbikes and that type of stuff you plate around you. And I thought to myself, it would worry. I honestly don't think it would have. I thought it would have. Asked me 3 months ago, I can never sell that bike. I built that bike from scratch. I can never sell that watch. I bought my first Rolex. It was like a moment in time to pay cash for that watch. It's a really important thing for me. Go in and say, I want that watch. You know, and be able to pay for it and afford it. It's massive. And I'm thinking, if I could sell that, yeah, okay, it's not the end of the world. I'll buy another one. You know, if things go by. So I've realised that material things aren't so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so there will be lots of small business owners out there, just like you and me. Some of them who are thinking, right, I'm on a mission, I can do this, I've got a plan, I know what we're going to do. Others who are thinking, I don't know if I can get through this. I don't know if I can dig deep enough to get through the days and weeks ahead. What advice would you give to another small business owner, just like you, who's thinking, I don't know if I can do this?
Well, the first thing you do is speak to somebody, isn't it? They need to speak to somebody, and I wouldn't speak to a business coach for those people. You know, charging you a fee. I would speak to somebody and say, vote at you, you know, because that's what I've done. None of us have all the answers. And the best thing, I've got a small WhatsApp group with local, I think, very respected local business people in towns all over the country. And so I can speak to a guy in Edinburgh, and I'm no threat to him, and vice versa, he's no threat to me. And the same in Cardiff, we've got some local people and some friends in Bath. So you need to speak to people, and don't be proud of that. You know, I did a post on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago saying, if you want to have a conversation about anything, just contact me, reach out to me. And not because I'm a business coach or anything like whatsoever. I don't want to be. Just talking to somebody and sharing sometimes those problems you may have. It's helpful. That's all right. Sharing those problems sometimes with other people, it's helpful, isn't it? Because they might have a solution. They might have been through the same thing as you. Don't keep it to yourself. You have to speak to people and communicate and try and get motivated by other people. Because if you stay with your own mind and thinking your own thoughts, you are of that mindset and you're possibly fragile, or your business is possibly fragile. You may need someone to help you, to just reach out to somebody and get some help. That's what I would suggest.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Any parting words before we finish today, Chris?
www.thebroguetrader.com.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.